Hey, Stoic warrior. We live in a world where everyone is trying to prove something, that they're right, that they're valuable, that they matter. People explain, then over-explain, sometimes even beg just to be seen. But the Stoic doesn't do that. A Stoic doesn't beg for attention, doesn't chase validation, doesn't explain himself to the world. Because he knows silence is strength. Most people, when they're hurt, rejected, or misunderstood, they rush, they chase. They try to fix what's broken by explaining themselves to people who already decided not to understand. But that's not courage. That's weakness pretending to be brave. You call someone and they don't answer, so you call again. You send another message, maybe a long one, hoping your words will change their mind. But here's the truth. The more you explain, the more power you give away. And that's not Stoic. The Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, they mastered the art of silence. Not because they didn't care, but because they understood something most people still don't. The more you value things outside your control, the less control you have. When you chase someone's attention or beg for their understanding, you're saying, "My peace depends on you." That's not peace, that's a prison. Real strength is when someone disrespects you and you walk away without saying a word. Not out of pride, but because dignity doesn't yell, it doesn't chase, it doesn't explain, it quietly detaches. Silence isn't emptiness, it's discipline, it's self-respect. It's the inner voice that says, "I don't need to be heard by you to hear myself." And that kind of silence terrifies people, because when you don't react, they lose the control they thought they had. Today, we're talking about silence, not the weak kind, but the kind that builds power, the kind that makes people wonder what changed, the kind that makes your absence speak louder than any message you could send. We'll explore 6 truths, 6 reasons why silence is a Stoic superpower, and why those who master it never chase, beg, or explain themselves. If you've ever overgiven, if you've ever been misunderstood, if you've ever chased someone who walked away, this is your moment to shift. Let these words be the reminder you didn't know you needed. Affirm this to yourself right now. My silence is my power. Number 1. Silence makes them feel your absence, not just hear your words. When you stop explaining, stop chasing, something strange happens. Silence doesn't push, it pulls. Think about the last time you were hurt, ghosted, or disrespected. Your instinct probably screamed, "Say something, defend yourself, prove your worth." But the truth is, the more you talk, the less they listen. The more you chase, the more they run. The more you explain, the less they value your words. But when you go silent, suddenly they feel your absence more than they ever noticed your presence. He who does not understand your silence will probably not understand your words. Silence makes people uncomfortable in ways that noise never can. When you go quiet on someone who expected you to beg, when you withdraw instead of react, you force them to confront something deeper, their own actions. Silence is a mirror. It says, "I saw what you did. I felt how you treated me, but I value myself too much to explain it to you." That kind of silence doesn't come from ego, it comes from clarity. You realize, if they cared, they would ask. If they respected you, they'd reach out. If they were emotionally mature, they wouldn't need a paragraph to understand your worth. So, you stay silent. And in that silence, you reclaim all the power you once gave away. You stop wasting energy trying to be understood by people who don't even understand themselves. You stop trying to heal through conversations, because some wounds don't heal through words, they heal through distance. And yes, your silence will trigger them. It will confuse them. They'll ask themselves, Why aren't they reacting? Why didn't they respond? Did they stop caring? That's when the power shifts, because silence speaks one truth they can't ignore. You don't owe them an explanation, not anymore. Number 2, when you stay silent, you hear the truth louder. The world is loud, but silence helps you listen not to others, but to yourself. In moments of heartbreak or betrayal, most people run to others for advice or validation. They scroll endlessly, call friends, or confront the person who hurt them, hoping the right conversation will fix the wrong person. But the Stoic does something radical. He goes silent. Not because he doesn't feel, but because he knows real answers don't come from noise. They come from reflection. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Marcus Aurelius. When you get silent, truly silent, your mind calms down. And when the mind calms down, the truth rises to the surface. You start hearing things like, "They never really respected me, I just didn't want to admit it. I'm not angry because they left. I'm angry because I stayed too long. I don't need closure, I need peace." These truths don't appear in text messages. They appear in the quiet hours when you stop explaining and start listening. Silence separates your emotions from your values. When you're hurt, emotions scream, "Chase them, explain yourself." But when you're silent, your values whisper, "Hold your dignity. Protect your peace, let them go." That's why the Stoics didn't react quickly. They embraced a sacred stillness, a pause before the storm. Modern society tells you to speak your mind, to make them hear you. But here's what most people miss. You don't gain respect by being louder. You gain it by being grounded, while everyone else spirals in noise. The more silent you are, the more people reveal themselves. You don't have to ask, do they care? Their actions will tell you. You don't have to beg for clarity. The truth comes out in your stillness. Silence isn't passive. It's focused. It's intentional. It's the doorway to inner wisdom most people never open. When you're unsure, when your emotions are loud, don't act. Be still. The answer isn't out there, it's in you, and you'll only hear it in silence. Number 3. Begging for closure is a form of self-betrayal. We all crave that final conversation, that perfect explanation, that neat ending. But the truth is harsh. If they truly cared, you wouldn't have to beg for closure. They would offer it freely. And if they don't, your silence is the closure. Begging for closure feels noble, like you're fighting for understanding, for peace, for fairness. But in reality, it often ends in more pain, not less. Because the moment you start chasing closure from someone who hurt you, you hand them power over your healing. You tell them, "You get to decide when I'm free." And that, my friend, is self-betrayal disguised as emotional honesty. If someone truly respected you, you wouldn't need to beg them to explain. You wouldn't need to ask, "Why did you do it?" They'd already have answered with their actions. Silence, in this case, isn't avoidance, it's acceptance. It's you saying, "I can't control your honesty, but I can control my peace." Epictetus once said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." That's closure in its purest form. You don't get closure by asking for the truth, you get it by living your truth. You stop needing people to validate your pain. You stop rehearsing the perfect final message in your head. You stop trying to turn people who broke you into the ones who fix you. Because they can't, they won't, and it's not their job. The cycle usually goes like this. They hurt you, you demand answers. They respond with coldness or silence. You feel worse, and then you go back, trying again. Round and round it goes. until you realize closure isn't something they give you. It's something you claim when you finally go quiet and walk away. True closure is this: you recognize that what they gave you was the most they were capable of giving. You accept that no explanation will make them more loving, more honest, or more loyal. You stop waiting for an ending that will never come, and in that acceptance, your power returns. They don't need to understand your worth. You do. They don't need to apologize. You can forgive in silence. They don't need to say goodbye. You can end the story without opening your mouth. And when you do, your silence becomes sacred. It becomes the boundary that says, I no longer negotiate with disrespect. You stop explaining storms to those who built their homes out of glass. So stop writing unsent letters. Stop typing messages you'll never send. Stop imagining that one perfect talk where everything will make sense. Let your silence be the sense. Let it be the space where your self-respect breathes again. Number 4, silence exposes what words try to hide. When you go quiet, masks start to fall. Because words, as beautiful as they can be, often deceive. People say what sounds right, what they think you want to hear. They use excuses, explanations, justifications, apologies. But silence? Silence doesn't lie. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "What you do speaks so loudly that I cannot hear what you say." That's the truth Stoics lived by. They didn't judge a person by their words. They watched their patterns. And the best way to see someone's pattern? Stop talking, just watch. Because silence isn't passive, it's observant. When you stop explaining, when you stop reacting, people start showing you who they really are. The one who genuinely values you will feel your absence and reach out with honesty. The one who only used you will vanish, because you're no longer feeding their need for attention. The one who tried to manipulate you will get angry, not because you wronged them, but because they lost control of you. Silence reveals truth faster than confrontation ever could. You don't need to argue. You don't need to test anyone. Just withdraw your words and see what remains. See who checks in when you're quiet. See who disappears when you stop giving. See who becomes frustrated when they can't provoke you anymore. That's reality. It's harsh, but it's liberating. Because people can debate your words, but they can't debate your absence. They can dismiss your opinions, but they can't dismiss the void your silence leaves behind. When you stop feeding the illusion with your responses, you stop participating in the emotional theater. You stop performing for people who were never listening. You start watching from the balcony instead of standing on the stage. And what happens? You see things as they are. You see the difference between someone who's sorry and someone who's just sorry they lost control. You see who respects your silence and who panics without your attention. That's Stoicism, not coldness, but clarity. Not distance, but discernment. It's emotional discipline. It's the ability to say, I see you clearly now, and that's all I need. Number 5. Not explaining yourself is the highest form of confidence. Let's be honest. When someone misunderstands you, it hurts. You want to defend yourself. You want to clear your name. You want to say, that's not who I am. But explaining yourself to people who already decided what to believe isn't clarity. It's fear. It's fear of being misjudged. Marcus Aurelius warned against wasting your life worrying about other people's opinions. Every time you try to convince someone of your worth, your goodness, your intentions, you spend your energy on their perception, not your purpose. That's not confidence. That's insecurity in disguise. The person who doesn't explain himself isn't arrogant. He's grounded. He knows his intentions. He knows his energy. He knows his worth. And that's enough. When you stop explaining yourself, you'll be called cold, distant, selfish. But what you're really being is free. Because losing people who never truly saw you isn't a loss, it's alignment. Most people don't actually want to understand you. They want to control how you're seen. And when your silence breaks their illusion, they'll get angry. Not because you hurt them, but because you stopped playing their game. That's when you step into real power, the quiet, steady kind that doesn't need to defend itself. You stop justifying your distance. You stop defending your boundaries. You stop explaining why you walked away. You simply live in truth, and those meant for you will understand your silence without needing subtitles. True confidence is calm. It doesn't rush to be heard. It doesn't argue for validation. It doesn't fight for space in rooms where its worth has already been dismissed. Your silence says, "I know who I am. I don't need your understanding to confirm it." And that, Stoic warrior, is the kind of peace no one can take from you. Number 6. Your silence, your detachment, that's what teaches them the lesson. There's something powerful about a person who chooses to walk away quietly. No drama, no long explanations, no last message filled with emotion. You just leave. And that silence, that calm, steady silence, teaches a lesson no words ever could. Seneca once wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." That's the beauty and cruelty of silence. Because when you stop responding, they're left alone with their imagination. They start hearing your silence louder than any argument you could have had. They wonder if you're angry, if you've moved on, if you've stopped caring. And that uncertainty, that quiet absence, becomes the echo that teaches them. Your silence says, "I no longer need to prove anything. I will not stay where I'm not respected. I've realized that peace is more valuable than connection." Most people don't know how to handle that kind of energy. They're used to emotional reactions, people who beg, cry, fight to be understood. They know how to play that game. But silence? They can't manipulate silence. They can't twist it, can't feed off it. When you go silent, you take away the fuel. You exit the emotional arena. And that's when they finally have to face themselves, their guilt, their arrogance, their loss of control. That's the real lesson. Because people rarely learn from being told, they learn from being shown. They learn when your absence forces them to confront the consequences of their actions. They learn when they can't reach you anymore, when they realize the door is truly closed. They thought you'd always answer. They thought you'd always come back. But you didn't. And that, right there, is the moment the lesson begins. Because people don't change when you scream, "Respect me." They change, if ever, when your silence shows them you won't accept anything less. And if they don't change, that's fine too. The lesson wasn't for them, it was for you. You learn that your peace doesn't need permission. You learn that not everyone deserves an explanation. You learn that sometimes silence isn't just strength, it's healing. Because when you detach in silence, you stop bleeding in front of people who don't even recognize pain. You stop explaining storms to those who have never stepped into the rain. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care too deeply about your soul to keep it where it's being starved. That's why Stoics never chased validation. They never tried to make others see their side. They didn't need to. The silence spoke for them. You don't have to shout, "I'm done." You can just be done. That's power. Real power doesn't announce itself. It leaves quietly, but its absence lingers. It changes the energy of every room you once stood in. And here's the truth. Your silence might make others uncomfortable, but it will make you unbreakable. Because when you stop explaining, you stop negotiating your worth. When you stop reacting, you stop giving people free access to your emotions. Every time you stay silent when provoked, you're building control. Every time you walk away without revenge, you're building peace. Every time you choose calm over chaos, you're proving to yourself that you are no longer ruled by impulse. That's the essence of Stoicism, not suppressing emotions, but mastering them. It's not about becoming cold, it's about being clear. It's not about detaching from love, it's about detaching from noise. When you realize that silence is not weakness, you begin to see that it's actually control. Control of your reactions, control of your time, control of your energy. Because every time you choose silence, you're saying, I refuse to let this situation lower me. Your silence doesn't mean you lost. It means you evolved. It means you understood that winning isn't about having the last word, it's about having the last piece. Now, pause for a moment and think about this. Every time in your life when you wanted to speak, to argue, to explain, but chose to stay quiet, what happened? Later, did the truth eventually reveal itself? Did people show who they really were? Did peace arrive, slowly but surely, when you stopped trying to force it? That's the power of silence. It always reveals, always heals, always brings clarity. And here's something no one tells you. Your silence will outlast their confusion. Your stillness will outshine their noise. When you walk away quietly, you don't lose anything. You just stop participating in things that drain you. And that's not weakness, that's wisdom. So the next time someone expects your reaction, surprise them with calm. When they expect chaos, respond with peace. When they try to provoke you into explaining, remember, you don't owe them a single word, because silence isn't the absence of power. It's the proof that you already have it. As you sit in that quiet strength, remind yourself of this truth. You don't have to be loud to be heard. You don't have to argue to be right. You don't have to explain to be understood. All you have to do is be still and let your silence speak for you. In the next part, we'll explore how silence turns into your deepest form of freedom, how walking away can become a form of self-respect, and why mastering stillness transforms not just how others see you, but how you see yourself. There's a moment in every strong person's life when silence becomes more than a choice. It becomes a way of living. You realize you don't need to convince anyone anymore. You don't need to defend what's already true. You stop performing for people who were never listening, and you start living for your own peace. That's when you cross into a new kind of freedom, the kind that can't be given or taken away, the kind that comes only from within. This is what the Stoics meant when they spoke about ataraxia, a Greek word for unshakable tranquility. It doesn't mean nothing bothers you. It means nothing owns you. When you master silence, you're no longer held hostage by the noise of the world. You stop reacting to everything that moves. You stop explaining yourself to everyone who asks. You stop trying to prove your goodness in places that only consume it. Silence becomes your shield. Detachment becomes your sword. You protect your mind not with walls, but with calm. And make no mistake, this is not avoidance. Avoidance runs from pain. Silence faces it and chooses peace anyway. Avoidance hides, silence observes. Avoidance fears what will happen. Silence accepts what already has. The Stoics didn't live in denial of emotion. They simply refused to let emotion be the master. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." You can't control what they say, but you can control whether you respond. You can't control who leaves, but you can control whether you chase. You can't control the noise, but you can choose to be the quiet within it. This is where silence transforms into something divine. It stops being a reaction to pain and becomes a reflection of purpose. You no longer go quiet because of them, you stay quiet for you. Silence starts to speak in new ways. It says, "I've outgrown this chaos. I don't argue with confusion anymore. I don't prove myself to those who enjoy misunderstanding me." And something beautiful happens when you live this way. The right people start to notice. They feel your energy, your calm, your presence. They sense that you're not desperate for attention, and that makes your presence magnetic. See, silence doesn't make you invisible. It makes you powerful. It makes you rare. It separates you from the noise, from the crowds that shout for recognition but never find inner peace. People will try to provoke you. They'll project their insecurities onto you. They'll say, "You've changed." And you'll smile and think, "Exactly." Because peace changes you. Detachment refines you. Silence strengthens you. When you stop explaining, you stop chasing. When you stop chasing, you stop bleeding energy. When you stop bleeding energy, you start healing. And once you start healing, you start shining. Silence becomes the quiet glow of someone who no longer needs to be understood to feel whole. Let's be honest, silence isn't easy. It will test you. It will make you feel invisible at first. You'll want to reach out, to justify, to be seen. But every time you resist that urge, every time you choose calm over chaos, you're building a kind of strength that most people never know. You're teaching yourself that peace is not a reaction, it's a decision. Because here's the truth. Peace doesn't arrive when things are calm. It arrives when you are calm, even when things aren't. When the world tests you, silence becomes your training ground. When someone disrespects you, silence becomes your armor. When life disappoints you, silence becomes your reset button. You don't escape life by being silent, you transcend it. You stop needing everything to make sense. You stop seeking fairness from people who have none to give. You stop expecting clarity from chaos. Instead, you build your clarity within. You trust your intuition. You create your own meaning. That's the quiet revolution of Stoicism, a rebellion not through noise, but through stillness. When everyone else is arguing to be right, you'll be at peace with being real. When everyone else is shouting for validation, you'll already have it from yourself. When everyone else is chasing closure, you'll have found yours in silence long ago. And soon, you'll notice something subtle but profound. Silence starts to guide you. It becomes your compass. It tells you when to walk away, when to hold your ground, when to speak, and when to let the world's noise pass through you without leaving a mark. This is what true strength looks like. Not loud, not reactive, but rooted. And when you reach that point, you'll look back and realize the moments you stayed silent were never weakness. They were milestones. Each one was a declaration of self-respect. Each one a small act of rebellion against a world addicted to reaction. Each one a reminder that control isn't found in domination, it's found in composure. So take a breath, let the world rush by. You don't need to join the noise. Because the person who can stand in silence without needing to prove, without needing to react, that's the person who's truly free. Coming up next, in the final part, we'll bring everything together. The moment of transformation. How silence becomes not just your defense, but your destiny. How it turns pain into wisdom, endings into beginnings, and solitude into power. Silence isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of the one that finally belongs to you. When you stop explaining, stop defending, stop chasing, something incredible happens. The noise fades, and what's left is truth. Not their truth, yours. You start to hear yourself again, your intuition, your boundaries, your peace. You start to feel the power that was always there, but buried under the weight of needing to be understood. That's when you realize the person you were trying to convince was never them. It was you. Silence teaches you that peace isn't found in being right. It's found in being aligned. You no longer argue with people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You no longer fight battles that drain your soul. You simply walk away, quietly, with grace. That's real mastery. That's the essence of Stoicism, control not over others, but over yourself. Every time you hold your tongue, you grow stronger. Every time you let go of the need to be seen, you become invisible in the best way, untouchable. The world still spins, the noise still roars, but you remain still inside it, unmoved, because silence isn't emptiness. It's full of wisdom, clarity, self-respect. It's the sound of a soul at peace, and in that peace, you no longer chase love, attention, or understanding. You attract it naturally, effortlessly, because you've become whole. So when the world tests you, when people try to provoke you, remember this truth: your silence is your answer. Your calm is your power. Your peace is your revenge. You don't need to speak to be understood. You don't need to fight to be free. Let your silence be your final word, not out of ego, but out of deep, unshakable self-respect. And when someone wonders why you're so quiet, smile, because they'll never understand. You found peace in the place where words end, and strength in the silence that remains. And before you leave this moment of calm, take a breath and remember, peace is a practice, not a performance. Every day, the world will tempt you to react, to prove, to speak louder. But the real work is staying still when everything else demands noise. That's where power lives. That's where you meet yourself again. If these words resonated with you, if you felt that quiet shift inside, share this message with someone who needs to hear it. Not to preach, but to remind them that silence can heal more than words ever could. Subscribe if you want to keep walking this path of stoic growth, one step, one insight, one breath at a time. And in the comments, leave your affirmation: my peace speaks louder than my words. Because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs more people like you, calm, grounded, and unshakably silent in their strength.